I'm very happy to have this conversation this morning because the last week has been so irregular. You know what it's like when you work and then you don't work for like a week, and then it's all the
Mm-hmm.
all the good habits become bad habits very very quickly. Uh, so
Mm.
so my routine of getting up early and getting things done has been um, slightly made upside down in the last week. I need to get back. I I need to get back on my game, and today is the start of getting on my game again. Uh, just slowing down. I didn't need to slow down, but that's okay. Um, everything has different effects and causes. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you need to break the patterns. Sometimes you need to break the patterns in order to have different experiences. So I broke the patterns for the last week and had a whole bunch of different experiences. Like I went clothes shopping, which I hate. If there's like top 5 things that I hate in the world, like one of them is clothes shopping. I just hate clothes shopping because I never find anything that I like ever, ever, ever. Um, but I went clothes shopping and bought some things, and that was a really traumatic experience for me. So um, try to do it all as fast as possible because I don't want to think about it too much. Because when I start thinking about it too much, it becomes, oh, I'm not sure about it. I hate being in the state of not being sure about something. So um,
Mm.
it's quite frustrating. Anyway, um, so I did that, and been, been, all my good habits have been replaced with other things for the last week. So um, hmm,
Mm-hmm.
hmm. So that's all I can say is hmm, hmm.
Mm.
Time, 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 time to get time to get back on my game. It's okay to be off the game for a small period of time, but I really do need to get things. Normally, I do a lot of writing, and I haven't done any writing for a week, and I try to do an hour of writing a day, and I haven't done any for a week, and it's very um,
You
it's
missed that.
yeah, it's the challenge for me. It's the challenge of putting like an artist paints a picture or something like that. It's the challenge of creating something that didn't exist before.
Mm-hmm.
Or the challenge of writing something knowing not knowing what you're going to write. I like that of sitting down and thinking I'm going to write something and I'm going to it's it's looking at it's basically a chance to look at your own thoughts. I wonder what's so my writing for me is I wonder what's in my head, and I sit down and I write whatever's in my head, and it's sometimes it's logical, sometimes it's not, and it's an interesting process to analyze that. I think everybody should do some writing at least once a week to everybody knows that journaling is very healthy. Keeping a journal of where you are and what you think and
It's hot.
yeah, or for me also doing videos as well, or just
Mm-hmm.
turning on a camera and talking into a camera is a way of getting over yourself or getting around your own thoughts or blocks or whatever is in a person's head. A lot of people fear their own thoughts. They won't talk about it, but they do. And until we get beyond that certain until we realize that everybody is going to misunderstand us no matter what we do. We don't have any level of freedom. Everybody's gonna. You can do like 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 I explained earlier. I could do the nicest things in the world to help a lot of people, and people will still misinterpret it by putting their own ego over everything as oh, they're just doing it for attention. It's like, no, I fucking hate attention. Because I used to be like on a stage couple of times a week doing stuff. And people were like, he's just on a stage because he likes attention. I would get that every single day. And um, that's crazy because I hated being on stage. I hated people. I hated a large number of people standing looking at me waiting to be entertained by something. Um, it did not that did not make me feel good at all. But the challenge of doing it was a great experience. Um, or people saying that, I don't know, people saying that a lot of people said that I stole money from people, and it's when you're constantly putting your own money into something, you wonder how someone could even work out that you're stealing money from people. Like if you're it's so crazy, it's unbelievable. Like every event that I organized had some investment of my own personal money in it. Everything I ever did, and there was zero profit in the music for me personally at all. Um, and yet people would go online and talk about how much money I was making from doing things for other people. It's absolutely crazy. And so um, that, and this is how I look back at things, right? That made running a school really easy
Really?
because when I did things in music, I had to deal with nothing but shit from people, right? And so going into the school and running the school was really easy after dealing with that. It's after you've climbed a mountain, walking down the street's really easy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all the music stuff was like climbing a mountain. It was ridiculous. Like I would organize photo shoots for bands and get photographers and get the band in the studio, and I would pay for it all. Yeah, and I would be there to make sure everything was okay. And then afterwards, the band would write about how bad a person I was, right? So even though I did like all this stuff for them, um, so it's when we understand that we have a choice with every single thing that we do
Mm-hmm.
to take from whatever happens, to take from it positive or negative. And and it we we can take the lessons and learn something from them, because the truth is we're all in error. We all make mistakes on a daily basis, constantly, either errors in thought or errors in acts, and we can't let that define us, because we also have to understand that we do more things correctly than we do incorrectly, and and people want to focus on the minutia, and no one sees the bigger picture. People want to focus on the tiny little, like you do one thing wrong, minutia, the minute parts, the very small parts. Yeah. Like you do one thing wrong, and well, here's the way to approach it, um, which is that if somebody for some reason wishes to focus on a negative element or point out a negative element, which you'll see everywhere. Someone will stand up and give a speech about something, and somebody will, at the end, they'll say, when you gave this speech a year ago, you said this. What does this mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why is that important to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so vital for you at this point in time that you focus on that one element? Could you maybe give me the context of that element? And then people fall apart because no one has any real context for anything, usually, especially when the criticism very rarely has context. Now, you can get constructive criticism, which is useful, and usually that's when people ask for it. You know, I will ask for it when I need it is very important to understand, and that includes the criticism. It's like I want, there are times when, say, you're teaching that you will say to people, like, I want criticism, I want feedback, I want you to be critical of what I'm doing, I want you to tell me where it's wrong, I want to be able to improve, I want you to coach me, like, so we need that feedback, that coaching. It's important, and especially when we ask for it. But when we don't ask for it, it
Mhm.
usually comes in a very negative sense and without context, because it's not contextual for us, it's contextual for them. And other people are critical within their own context of experience, which doesn't mean anything to us. It's like, but you said that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yes. Why is that important for you? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, so I said something, and maybe it was right, maybe it was wrong. Life is transitory. We grow. I'm able to look back and go, okay, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, but I was honest. Would you rather I was
Mhm.
dishonest? There's so many people would rather be dishonest, disingenuous, virtue signal, right? Pretend to be virtuous rather than be virtuous. Um, Look, they wear the T-shirt that says I don't know, like Oxfam or Save the Children, but they do fuck all to save the children or help anybody, right? The
Ah, yeah, the Oxfam shops. Mhm.
Well, the people will, charity. The charity became a fashion. Oops, right? And then it became something that people projected.
Mhm.
They wanted to. Don't get me wrong, real charities exist, but the problem is that 9 out of every 10 charities are fake. It's just a statistic, right? 9 out of every 10 charities are fake. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that's that people don't want to put in there was a great website in Britain called fakecharities.org, and it just listed how much money the charities spent on themselves, and it was all the major ones, and the British government took it down it because it showed that the British government were funding the charities to pay themselves. Um, here's the example. Most churches don't pay tax. That's the example. Most churches don't pay tax. Therefore, the benefit of getting involved in religion for a lot of people is that it's a way to have money and keep money and not give any away, really. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or the property tax is quite high, but churches don't pay it usually. So,
Mhm.
like one of the largest landowners in Europe is the Catholic Church, but you never hear anything about that, right? Because they don't have to pay tax, they just buy up land, and they never have to pay tax on it. So that's why a lot of the um, a lot of the bigger elements of business have connections to certain religions. It's not always a bad thing, right? Because there's there's a base element of religion, which is people doing good things. Um, but at the same time, you have to look at where does the money go and where is the money spent, and is it is it a worthwhile investment, and and realize that a lot of things that should be charitable are more questionable than being an actual charity.
That's a word, charitable.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It, I think,
Questionable.
see, the positive element of charities is they can help people, and that's a great thing. The negative element of charities is that people leave the work to the charity,
Mhm.
thinking that well that the charity will take care of it, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it in essence needs to be something which is real and not really sponsored. So different for everybody. Um, and it's just interesting things to to know and realize that the very few things are what they seem to be to us because we are different or disconnected or distant from them. And so it's very hard for us to it's very hard for us to understand um, anything of how the elements of things come together.